collectors. Welcome to our second session of Daggerdom here. What we're trying to do is feature some good pieces once in a while, just so that you can see what's happening in the hobby. I wanted to share a terrific first model Luftwaffe that I recently acquired with all of you, because it's one of the best pieces that I've seen as far as all the bells and whistles, glitz, gold and silver, etc. This dagger I have on the table here, and before I show you the dagger, I want to show you the scabbard, because it's probably the best work that I've seen so far as engraving and fittings. This particular Luftwaffe was produced during what we call the mid-period, around 1937-38, when the blade companies had gone to steel-based fittings, silver plating them. Prior to this, they were a solid nickel. But if you look at these mounts, the upper mount has just beautiful chased style engraving, and when I say chased, that implies that the metal is more pushed than it is just engraved, and that adds to the relief of the design. And just look at the detail in this eagle, which is carrying a swastika and appears to be coming in for a landing. The oak leaves, the acorns, the enhancement of the designs around it, it's absolutely fantastic. The fittings show a little age, but you can imagine how it must have looked when it was brand new back in the 1930s. Now the same treatment, similar treatment, has been done to the center band. It features a sprig of oak leaves. Just look how the checkering was done on the caps of the acorns. Absolutely terrific. And then the same holds true with the lower fitting, where we have an additional sprig of oak leaves and the hand veining that's been done, as well as the checkering again. On the opposite side of the scabbard, it has the date of 1937 engraved and the initials of the original owner that appear to be UM. It's kind of hard to tell with these Gothic letters. That might be even an A, but I don't know. But at least it's a clue that somebody could use to further research the ownership of this piece. And as you can see, it's dated 1937, which jibes nicely with the era of the fittings that we know as collectors to be from that time. Also, daggers of that vintage we see equipped with nickel silver chains, and often a snap clip that's made of a pot metal zinc base, having DRGM incorporated into the cast. These are the same clips that were used for postal daggers, which were also made beginning around that time. And when this piece was new, the clip would have been nickel plated. I want to also add that we replaced this clip because when we acquired the dagger, this was the original clip that was on the piece. You can see that somehow it's become broken and oxidized and really didn't add much to the dagger. So this way we don't have a problem with using the exact same fitting, the exact same vintage, and replacing it. Nothing wrong with that in my opinion, as long as it's disclosed. Okay, now we'll take a look at the dagger. When you first see the outside of the scabbard, you have a hint that something's going to come with the dagger. But when it's, well, let me first talk about the hilt, and then we'll go to the blade. The hilt is again a mid-period style. You can tell that easily by how thick the butt plate is on the bottom of the crossguard. These fittings, the pommel as well as the crossguard, were made in a pot metal base, and then they were silver plated, and a light gilding was put on the swastikas which these sun wheels are part of the cast. They're not medallion type like the early form. But to see this much silvering on one of these pieces is also quite rare. It's also a sign that this dagger probably wasn't worn or handled as much as a regular type would be, most likely because it was a presentation and may not have been worn like a normal dagger. The grip has the standard Moroccan leather wrap, and it's wired with triple type, being a brass wire with a kind of a springy inside. But now the blade, we have to see the blade because it really is something to see. This blade features a blue and gilt covering, which extends almost to the tip of the blade, covers at least 7/8 of this blade. It has a blue background. It has gold floral designs. It's just fantastic with a raised out presentation in the center. The presentation, my German's not so good, but it says bis zum letzten Tropfen Blut, and translated that means till the last drop of blood. Really something, and obviously the man that was given this piece was considered a fighter if they would have a slogan like that. And then the part that's really interesting, the maker mark on this ricasso has the familiar arrow pointing to the name, quote, F. Dick. Now we all know that F. Dick made plenty of SA daggers, and they also made a lot of meat sharpeners too. But as far as Luftwaffe daggers, never heard of it. Well, what's happened here is that the group who had this dagger made for their boss apparently went into a small retail store, and they told the store what they wanted, and the store said, don't worry about it, we'll have it done. And they got a hold of their friends in the F. Dick company, who they probably, maybe there was a brother-in-law, who knows what relationship, but any German company worth their salt was not going to turn down a chance to do a job and to make some money. So Dick either did much of the work themselves, or they had it done by people that were right in their area that they knew. And then on the other side we can see what happened here. First of all, there is a retailer's name in a gold and blue box, and the name is Fr. Eggermann, E-G-G-I-M-A-N-N, and it says that Mr. Eggermann specialized in uniforms, and that, let me see here if I can see this, let me just get my spyglass here. Yeah, he specialized in uniforms, and he was located in Großhochstetten. Großhochstetten, believe it or not, is a town in Switzerland. So apparently even the Swiss got involved with the ordering of daggers, which certainly could be too, because in the 30s the Swiss and the Germans certainly were good friends, and there was a lot of back and forth. In fact, I remember not too long ago I sold a SA shooting trophy where the contest was held in Switzerland back in 1934. So this is certainly something that we could see occasionally. And on the blade itself, on the other side, we have the very early, what we call the combined Luftwaffe observer and pilot's badge. Early on, when the Luftwaffe first started, though, this badge was worn by a lot of the early DLV people that eventually became high-ranking Luftwaffe officers. And that's probably the derivation of this badge. The man that owned the dagger probably held this badge. And note the detail of the badge, how beautiful it's done with the feathering of the eagle, the wreath of oak leaves, and then the swastika. They just cut it off a little bit here to make it look nice on the blade so it would stay even with the rest of the floral designs. Absolutely beautiful. The rest of the blade is the commonly seen nickel-plated surfaces. Now you're going to, well, there's also a washer here. That's worthwhile noting. That's maybe why the blade is still in such good condition. There is some age here and there, but it's not bad. But you're probably asking, my goodness, how do you know that something like that is real? Well, the workmanship is probably the best I've ever seen. There's lots of age on the piece. The details are extraordinary. The way the fit of the grip to the hilt fittings is absolutely perfect, exactly the way you would want to see it. The same is true of the scabbard and the scabbard leather. Just the fact that it had this ruined clip with it gives you a hint that it's certainly not a new piece. All the odd things about it are what makes it challenging too. It gives you a chance to think, hey, this isn't an SMF or a Paul Weiersberg. It has maker marks unknown for a dagger like this, and you say, wow, this is really crazy. But you know what? It's also very interesting, and it's very plausible, and it's also very real. This is a 100% original, dedicated blue and gilt Luftwaffe Dagger that I think would be a prize in the most advanced collection. I certainly have enjoyed having it, and unfortunately we've already sold it, but at least we have some pictures of it, and we've gotten a chance here to let everyone else have some enjoyment of it too. So thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.